What's up, everybody? Listen, what would it be like if you lived your entire life and when you were gone, nobody remembered you? Whether we admit it or not, all of us live life and think through some version of, as Brenda Burchard says, did I live, did I love, did I matter? Right? And we want to be remembered. We want to be remembered. And yet, when it comes to communication, we fumble the bag. I want you to think about the last presentation that you sat through, not the one that you gave, but the one that you watched. And maybe it was a colleague, maybe it was a conference speaker, maybe it was a Zoom call where somebody shared their screen and then they walked you through 17 slides. And what did you actually remember? Chances are you remember one of two things. You remember a moment that made you glitch or feel something or think something, or absolutely nothing at all. Here's the uncomfortable question I want us to sit with tonight. When other people walk out of your presentations, which category do you fall into? If you're not sure, if you already know the answer and you don't love it, stay with me because we're going to talk about this over the next 25 to 30 minutes or so. All right. Yeah. All right. So let's jump on into this thing. What are we talking about tonight? We're talking about why people don't remember you. Here's why people don't remember you. But before we jump on in, I just want to have y'all take a look at a couple of things real quick. I want you to check out this here, Amplified Voice HQ. Okay, that is our community page. That is our site. If you go to amplifiedvoicehq.com, what I'd like for you to do is head on down to the community button and click on join. And that's going to take you to our Amplified Voice Facebook group. We just started this group as of yesterday. And so still fairly new. There's some things that we're already sharing in there, but you want to become a better communicator. You want to become more compelling. You want to become more confident on camera and on stage. Then I want you to join us in the Amplified Voice HQ. All right. So let us jump on into this thing. And we do this by starting with some music. You ready? Here we go. Let's start. Bam. Yes. Okay, my shirt is crazy. Hold on. We're having a little bit of fun tonight. So here's what I've noticed after working with a bunch of professionals. I would say thousands of professionals on their communication. So many people prepare for a presentation and they ask the wrong question. They ask the wrong question. And the question that they ask is, what do I need to say? Let me see if I can pull this up, right? They ask the question, what do I need to say? But here's the question that they really need to ask. Let me pull my screen up. All right. So here's how we're going to do this. Yeah. Bam. Okay. So you're asking, what do I need to say? And I'm going to share with you that that's the wrong question. That's the wrong question. You should be asking, what do I need my audience to feel? Right? That is the question that you want to be asking. What do I need my audience to feel? Right? Because here's the thing. When people feel something, they remember it. They remember it. If you think back about any important events in your life, what is it that caused you to remember it? Maybe there was a birthday party? What was your most memorable birthday party, and why was it memorable? You felt something. Maybe there was a gift that you got that made you feel a certain way, or maybe it was the people or the person that was there. What is it that you felt, right? And those are two different things. What people say versus what your audience feels, right? Those are very different. And here's why. The first one, the one where you're thinking about what you need to say, it gives your audience a lot of information. You got a slide deck full of information. It's organized, it's thorough, it's technically correct, but more often than not, completely forgettable. The second one gives you a room full of people who are leaning in and they're nodding and they're thinking, this person totally gets it, right? I want you to think about the last time that you really remembered something. What was the last time you really remembered something that somebody said to you? Not a statistic, not a framework, but something that stuck. And I bet everything in me that it came wrapped in some sort of experience or story, right? A specific moment, a real situation with real stakes, right? So here's why that's important. Here's why that's important. Your brain isn't built to retain information, right? It's built to, let me see if I hold on one second. There we go. There we go. It's built to retain experience. Brains are built to retain experiences. So when you're presenting information and you just present the data, you're asking people to remember facts. I was telling you in the live pop-up or in the live session yesterday that I knew somebody who shared a lot of data. They started out by saying 90% of this and 9 out of 10 and 4 out of 10 and 3 out of 10. And by the time they were 5 minutes in, they had statisticked their audience to death. And the audience is like, oh, okay. So while the first statistic may be surprising, by the time you get to the 6th, 7th one, your audience is like, oh my gosh, what's this about? What's this about? So when you give a story, you give people an experience to hold on to. Right? And so I've given you the answer already. If you are not being remembered, then you are not giving an experience. And here's what people remember. People remember the experience. The people who get remembered aren't the smartest people. They're not the ones who have the best content, but they're the ones who made the room feel something. Right? And the gap in between you and them is not talent. It's one skill, and that's the skill of story and storytelling. So let me give you one specific reason why a lot of presentations don't land. Right? And this is going to sound like so simple. I want you to think about your favorite movie. I want you to think about any movie. Now think about why you were locked in to that movie. You were locked in because something was at risk. You were locked in because something could go wrong. You were locked in because someone had something to lose. As a matter of fact, when you see a movie and the conflict or the tension is weak, you think that movie's a bad movie. The tension is what keeps you in your seat because your brain doesn't like open loops. And so good movie producers, good writers play with that a bit. They keep the tension just enough to keep you engaged because your brain's like, oh, what's next? Oh, I got to figure this out. I want to know what's happening, what's going on, what's next. That's how our brains work. And so most presentations open with an agenda. Have you ever been to a presentation or to a meeting where the person introduces themselves? Thank you for coming. My name's Robert, and here's what we're going to walk through today. And they talk to you about the 10 different things that they're going to walk through. I've heard of people who are presentation gurus say, you got to tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. Yeah, but if I'm just giving you information, if I'm just giving you an agenda, most people zone out immediately. How do you keep their attention? How do you keep their attention? Right? People walk through content and then they close with any questions? And most people are like, nope, I don't have any questions. Because they're perfectly comfortable and perfectly disengaged. So let's fix this, right? Before your next presentation, I want you to ask yourself a question. I want you to ask yourself a question. So let's go back to the iPad. Ask yourself this question. What is at risk? What's at risk? Right? For my audience, what happens if they don't apply this? What are they losing? What are they missing? What are they leaving on the table? Right? I want you to think about a specific. Okay, so today I was talking with some of my colleagues at one of my contracts about a lawnmower, and we were talking about robot lawnmowers. Now, if I don't have a robot lawnmower, what happens if I don't apply it? Well, here's what happens. I spend my time outside mowing the lawn. You know, I particularly like mowing the lawn. It's not a big deal for me. I like it. But I may not always have the time because I'm traveling quite a bit. Right? And so if I'm traveling, sometimes if I'm away for a little while, I come back and my lawn is at a certain height. Sure, I could get the landscaper to do it. But, we just, for a lot of other reasons, we got rid of the landscaper. Right? So what's missing? What if I don't get a good robot lawnmower, what's missing? Well, what's missing for me is that I'm going to spend time or I'm going to have to take longer to mow the lawn if I come back and the grass is a certain height. Right? So if I'm speaking to an audience, I want to name that out loud. I want to name that pretty quickly, and I want to see what the room does. Right? So here's an example. Two managers are training their team. They're talking about a new sales process. Manager A says, hey, today we're going to walk through the 5 steps of our new approach. Manager B says, last quarter, we lost 3 major accounts, not because our product wasn't good enough, but because the way that we were having conversations was pushing people away. So what happened there? You immediately jumped into a pain that everybody says, oh my gosh, we lost 3 major accounts. What does that mean for us? Oh, that means we took a hit in our bottom line, which means, layoffs might be happening. How do we fix that? Here's why it was happening, because we were pushing people away with our conversations. What do you mean? Tell us more. I'm starting to lean in. Well, today we're going to fix that. Same training, completely different room. Manager B named the stakes, and now everybody in the room has a reason to care and not just sit there. That's the story. The story's doing its job. Not a long, dramatic narrative, but just enough truth and enough tension to make the room feel the weight of what's being said, right? Now, here's a part that a lot of people skip. Your presentation needs a moment. Ooh, we're getting into this right now. Your presentation needs a moment. And that moment should be a specific human, real moment that your audience can grab onto, not a bullet point, a moment, something that happened to you, something that happened to a client, something that happened to someone in that room, something that makes the lesson feel real instead of theoretical. Because when you give people a moment, you give them something to carry with them. They remember something. And the reason that they remember it is because they've either experienced it themselves, or they know someone that's experienced it, or they've seen it on TV and they had a feeling about it. Yeah. So a little bit of homework. Here's what I want you to do. Here's what I'd like for you to do. I want you to go back to your last presentation. I want you to think about the next one that you've got coming up. Find the moment where you're making your biggest point, your most important idea. And I want you to ask yourself, do I have a story attached to this? A real specific moment that proves that this point is true. Okay? If the answer is no, then that's your work. You've got to find a moment, and the moment doesn't have to be dramatic. Just has to be real. And I'm going to share with you our tool in just a little bit that'll walk you through that in an easy way. All right. You just have to have a real moment, a conversation, a decision that went sideways, a result that surprised you. And then when you attach that story to your biggest idea, people are going to remember. They're going to remember that and remember you more than anything else in that presentation. I want you to try it. As a matter of fact, let me share something with you. I'm going to share with you a tool that we're in development on. Check this out. So we've got this. Actually, before I jump into the tool, let me share with you a framework. So we talked about a moment, right? We talked about a moment, but in addition to the moment, because a moment is what happened. Okay. But when you have a moment, there's a feeling that happens in that moment, and that feeling becomes interpreted. Okay. So I'm going to put interpretation of feeling. And because there is a moment, the what happened, and there is a feeling and an interpretation of that feeling, based on that, you want to share a message with people. Like, what should they do with this information? What should they do with this information? What should they know? What should they remember? Right? So if they know what they need to do, or they know what they need to know, or they know what they need to remember, the chances of them doing more with it is better. It's higher. Right? The issue with most of this is that people know how to find the moments, or maybe they skip over moments because they don't think the moment is important enough, or they don't think the moment is brilliant enough. And so they just jump into the data and then the information. Okay. And so one of the reasons that we built the upcoming event that I'm going to tell you about shortly, the Story Vault Remix, is to deal with this very thing. In 90 minutes, 2 hours, you're going to dig into your life. You're going to pull out some moments that you've been dismissing as not interesting enough. And you're going to leave with some real stories that are mapped to real frameworks that you can use in your next presentation, your next sales call, your next leadership moment. This is not just a watch what we do. This is, you're doing work in the room. And there's a tool that we're putting together, that we're developing, that I'm going to share with you right now. I'm going to show it to you and show you how it works so that you can see how easy this is going to be. All right. So meaning, moment, meaning, and message. So that's a framework that we've crafted, right? Moment, meaning, message. And I'll call that our 3M framework. So here's what this looks like. So we've got this tool that is based on moment, meaning, and message. And in moment, I'm going to share something really simple. I'll say, walked into my office and had an unexpected visitor. Okay. Keep it really simple. Then I'm going to get the meaning. So the meaning, it says leadership means being interruptible. Unplanned moments, the person who just shows up, are often where the real work happens, and how you handle them says more about you than any meeting you prepared for. Your door being open, literally or figuratively, sets the tone for whether people feel like they can come to you. That is a suggested meaning inside of this. Or you could write your own meaning. Okay, so I'm going to click on firm meaning, and I'll just use the suggested one for now. What's the message? Well, your most important meetings are the ones you never scheduled. The door you keep open is the leadership you actually have. I'll choose option B, or you could write your own. So let me click on build out my story. Okay, so now this shares with me a story opening. There was somebody sitting in my chair when I walked into my office. They weren't waiting in the doorway. They weren't hovering near my desk. They were actually in my chair, like they'd been there a while, working up the nerve. I could have redirected them, pointed at my calendar, explained that I had a full day ahead, but something about the way they looked up told me this was the moment that actually mattered, not the one I'd scheduled. The meetings you prepare for are where you perform leadership. The unexpected visitor is where you practice it. The door you keep open is the leadership you actually have. What? Right? So moment, meaning, message. And we could do this with a lot of different stories or story types, but this is a tool that we've developed that we're going to be sharing with you during that event. So that is our Story Vault Remix event. And we want you to be there on June the 9th. June the 9th. As a matter of fact, let me share this with you. Go to storyvaultremix.com and walk through this. You don't think you have good stories, you're wrong. You don't need to wait for the Oprah-worthy moment. Here's how you do that. Lock in your seat. June 9th, 6 p.m. Not a lecture, not a webinar. It's an experience where you'll discover why story is the most underutilized weapon. Mine your own life for moments and learn some frameworks for turning those moments into stories that work. I just shared with you a quick framework: moment, meaning, and message. And now you've got something that you can go play with, right? You got something that you can play around with. So this is the event that I want to share with you. This is the resource that I want to share with you. And I want to invite you to come on out to our Story Vault Remix. Head on over to storyvaultremix.com. All right. So here's the one thing that I want to leave you with tonight. Here's the one thing that I want to leave you with as we wrap this up. Being remembered isn't about being louder or more polished or more impressive. It's about making people feel something. And the fastest way to do that is a story that they can see themselves in, or they can see the video or the picture of it. And you already have these stories. You just haven't learned to recognize them yet. Right? And so that is what we walk through, and that's what we fix on June 9th. All right? So I want you to join me for the Story Vault Remix. Head on over to storyvaultremix.com. Listen, if this hit home for you, let me know. Share it with somebody. Invite them to the Story Vault Remix, because I can guarantee you there's a story in you that has not been discovered yet. And that story, that undiscovered story, is what will create memory. It's what's going to make a difference for somebody else. All right, y'all. That's all we got. That's all we got. That's all we got. Come on. Come on with it. Come on with it. Join us on June 9th for the Story Vault remix. Go to storyvaultremix.com.